Well, for more now, I'm joined by John Spencer. He's an urban warfare expert as well as a veteran. It's good to have you on the show, John. I just want to ask you, why does Vladimir Putin have to rely on what we've seen here, private mercenaries, to achieve his aims in Ukraine when he's the leader of what's supposed to be one of the most powerful and largest militaries in the world?
Yeah, it's a good question. Powerful is the key word in that statement. It's a really big army. It's not that powerful and shown the world that they're not what they what we thought they would be. Throwing mercenaries into combat operations like this in Ukraine is the act of the weak. It is a desperate move to add combat power to units that are falling apart. And we're seeing that. We're seeing Russian units refusing to fight, driving their own vehicles into the mud, running over their officers. That's what happens when you lose the will to fight, you lose cohesion, you don't have no trust in your leaders. So this is an act of weakness.
You have said that it takes a ratio of about 5-to-1 all the way up to 10-to-1 in favor of the attackers if they want to take over a city. What makes it so hard to conquer a city?
Yeah, so that's historical across time. We usually say 3-to-1 if you're attacking a defender in the open, 5, if not more, depending on the situation of the urban, is because the defense is always strongest. If you can stand in a protected position, somebody has to cross the street, cross the open area to get to you. Of course, you're going to be vulnerable to attack. In the urban terrain, it's just tenfold because all the buildings are natural bunkers. Matter of fact, in Mariupol, you know what makes a really good bunker? A bombed out building. So it's almost a paradox of urban warfare. We know that rubble is like bomb-proof bunkers. So you're going to need more forces, and you're going to lose thousands to take. You can't bomb cities into submission. So that's the other point. Is you not only need a lot of forces, you have to go in if you want to take it.
Well, that's what the Russians are trying to do with Mariupol, isn't it? And maybe what you're talking about explains why we have seen the Russians unable to take Kyiv.
Yeah, they didn't even they got to the gates.
Right.
But luckily, Kyiv defending it well. They couldn't even get into position to begin to attack Kyiv. So they didn't even get past the gates. Even if you were to do this with a lot of forces, there's things you had to do. You had to surround and isolate Kyiv. They never got past really their initial positions. Many of them couldn't even get to their initial positions to isolate the city, let alone attack it.
And let's talk then about what we're seeing in Mariupol. I mean, what's your assessment? How long can the Ukrainian people, Ukrainian forces withstand this nonstop bombardment from the Russians?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, the underground has always been the refuge of urban defenders. So, I mean, more concern to me is the lack of water as they've been sieged for weeks now and the impact that has. But, soldiers and, motivated defenders can go a long time and suffer a lot for a cause. Could they survive the bombings? Absolutely. They could survive the bombings for a long time. But like you said, the Russians are inside. There's some elements that have penetrated, separating the defenders in different segments. But again, I still think, to answer the question is they could survive weeks, is depending on what stockpiles they have inside the city. And if Mother Nature continues to help by like rain and snow and things like that to help give water, the Russians, no matter what, will pay a high price.
Okay. John Spencer, urban warfare expert. John, it's been good talking with you. Valuable context about what's happening in Ukraine. Thank you.
Thank you.